Peter Billingsley, the beloved figure etched into the hearts of holiday enthusiasts worldwide for his iconic portrayal of Ralphie Parker in the timeless classic A Christmas Story, has recently shared a delightful anecdote from his early career that bridges the worlds of innocent family cinema and the enigmatic allure of Playboy's legendary founder, Hugh Hefner. At the tender age of 54 today, Billingsley looks back with a mix of fondness and amusement on an evening that unfolded when he was just 18 years old. A pivotal moment in his life that encapsulated the whirlwind of opportunities and surreal encounters that come with rising stardom in Hollywood. The story begins in the glittering haze of the early 1980s, a time when Billingsley's star was still ascending following the release of A Christmas Story in 1983. This film, directed by Bob Clark, has since become an indelible part of the American Christmas tradition, replayed endlessly on television screens each December, evoking nostalgia for Red Ryder BB guns, leg lamps, and the quirky trials of childhood longing. But before it achieved cult status, the movie was fresh off its premiere, and its young lead was navigating the uncharted waters of post-audition fame. It was during this period that Billingsley received an invitation that would etch itself into his personal lore. A private screening at the infamous Playboy Mansion, hosted by none other than Hugh Hefner himself. Hefner, the charismatic visionary behind the Playboy empire, was not just a publisher and cultural provocateur. He was a connoisseur of all things entertaining, from jazz lounges to cinematic gems. Known for his silk robes, pipe-smoking persona, and a lifestyle that blended hedonism with intellectual curiosity, Hefner had a particular affinity for stories that captured the human spirit in its most whimsical forms. Apparently, A Christmas Story struck a chord with him deeply. As Billingsley recounted, Hefner was a huge fan of the movie, a sentiment that likely stemmed from the film's heartfelt depiction of family dynamics, holiday magic, and the unfiltered joy of youth, elements that contrasted yet complemented the more adult-oriented escapades of Hefner's world. The invitation arrived like a golden ticket, pulling the young actor into the opulent folds of the mansion, a sprawling estate in Los Angeles that was as much a myth as it was a reality, complete with grottos, exotic animals, and an endless parade of glamorous guests. Billingsley described the experience with a light-hearted brevity that belies the potential for extravagance. "I was invited up there for a screening one time, which was actually very cool." At 18 he was on the cusp of adulthood, having already shouldered the responsibilities of a child star since his toddler days in commercials and television spots. The transition from precocious kid to emerging adult was fraught with its own set of challenges, but this evening promised a respite, a chance to revel in the success of a project that had demanded so much from him emotionally and professionally. The screening itself must have been a spectacle, imagined in the grand theater room of the Playboy Mansion, where velvet seats and dimmed lights set the stage for cinematic immersion. Hefner, ever the gracious host, would have presided over the gathering with his trademark charm, perhaps surrounded by a select cadre of friends, bunnies, and fellow aficionados of the silver screen. As the black and white tinged nostalgia of A Christmas Story flickered to life, scenes of Ralphie's desperate pleas for that elusive BB gun, the hilarity of the pink bunny suit, and the triumphant family dinner, laughter and applause likely filled the air, with Hefner himself chuckling at the film's subversive take on holiday tropes. But Billingsley, ever the storyteller with a punchy wit, tempers the glamour with humor when pressed for more details. "I was 18. It was very fun," he quipped before adding with a playful deflection, "No more great story to that other than Heg being a very gracious host." There's a deliberate understatement here, a nod to the discretion that defined many encounters at the mansion. Yet, in those few words, one can glean the essence of the night, a blend of youthful exuberance and sophisticated hospitality. Hefner's reputation as a host was legendary. He was known for creating environments where guests felt seen and celebrated, whether through intellectual salons or lavish parties. For Billingsley, this meant sharing a space with a man whose life philosophy emphasized living boldly and unapologetically, qualities that, in retrospect, might have resonated with the actor's own journey of defying the pitfalls of child stardom. Delving deeper into Billingsley's reflections, the anecdote serves as a gateway to broader musings on his casting in A Christmas Story, a process that was as serendipitous as it was grueling. He recalled the initial audition with a touch of disbelief. "I never heard anything. About 3 months later I got a call back. I had assumed I hadn't gotten it." In the cutthroat world of 1980s casting, silence often equated to rejection, and young Billingsley, then just a wide-eyed hopeful, had steeled himself for the disappointment. Yet fate had other plans. As he explained, "I happened to be the very first boy to ever audition, and director Bob Clark said, 'Oh, that's the guy. But obviously you're not going to hire the first guy. So he went around for 3 months. They went across the country. It was a massive search. This revelation paints a vivid picture of the exhaustive efforts behind the camera. Bob Clark, a director renowned for blending genres, from the horror of Black Christmas to the whimsy of Porky's, approached A Christmas Story with meticulous care, adapting Gene Shepard's semi-autobiographical tales into a screenplay that demanded authenticity. The search for Ralphie was no small feat. It spanned the nation, scouring talent agencies, school plays, and local theaters for a boy who could embody the essence of Midwestern boyhood. Curious, resilient, and hilariously obsessive. Billingsley, with his natural affability and expressive eyes, had unwittingly set the bar impossibly high from the outset. Clark's instinctual recognition, "Oh, that's the guy," speaks to the magic of casting where chemistry transcends resumes and headshots. But prudence dictated a broader canvas. Producers couldn't risk settling on the first prospect without exploring alternatives. Thus began a 3-month odyssey with hopefuls from coast to coast vying for the role, each bringing their own flavor of youthful charm. When the callback finally came, it must have felt like a dream deferred no longer. Billingsley stepped back into the fray, this time armed with the knowledge that he had left an indelible impression. The film's production, shot in Cleveland to capture the snowy authenticity of the story's setting, became a winter wonderland of creativity. Billingsley immersed himself in the role, channeling the frustrations and fantasies of a 9-year-old fixated on a dangerous toy in an era when parental wisdom clashed with childish dreams. His performance, marked by subtle facial tics and earnest delivery, elevated the script's humor into something profoundly relatable. The leg lamp scene, the flagpole mishap, the exhaustive narration by Gene Shepard himself. These elements coalesced under Clark's direction into a tapestry of holiday hilarity that has endured for decades.